Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session of AWS User Group. And we are very much humbly welcome you for today's session. Yep. Before we actually go to the session, we'll have a couple of rules to keep up, since it's a community and we are actually conveying in a virtual way. So there is some decorum that needs to be maintained. So make sure that you are aware of others and be welcoming and respectful, and also be very friendly and patient, and do understand like people come from different places, language, and expertise and experience. So please be understandable to their differences and be kind and considerate, and always be open to all the questions and viewpoints. And also, if you have any doubts, please drop it in the YouTube comment section, or you can reach out for any feedback or concerns to myself as an organizer in Slack or any other social media. So, and yeah, please be maintain that the decorum in the comment section as well. And today we have the third episode of AWS Cloud Practitioner Bootcamp. So the specialty of us starting this bootcamp is that it's completely beginner friendly, and we aim to deliver this particular bootcamp for people who wants to start their cloud journey. And in this bootcamp, we not only we have a technical session which goes on every Tuesdays and Thursdays, but we also help you to prepare for the certification by giving practice test and also contest at the end of each episode. So this will be more like a learning and applying skills. So you can learn through our content, then you can you can then test your experience by appearing for the contest. And also, the big boost to this one is this complete bootcamp is run by all community members of different experience levels, and mostly first timers who are actually here. And all the people who are attending the bootcamp will receive a certificate of attendance. And the best part is the people who actually win the every episode contest and the final contest of the bootcamp will receive a special giveaways. So please stay tuned and actively participate. And of course, just to give a hint, and the giveaways might include AWS voucher as well. So do register at the given link so that you can keep up with the upcoming sessions as well. And if you feel like okay, you're not able to attend a particular session, all the recordings will be available on our YouTube channel, so you can come and check out at any point of time. So today, in the third episode of AWS Cloud Practitioner Bootcamp, we are going to discuss on compute services like EC2, load balancing, and so on. So we have our expert speaker Neetu Mallan, who is a manager at Citi Corp, and she is also recently completed at her AWS Cloud Practitioner exam. So I immensely welcome you for today's session, and the stage is yours.
Thank you, Vivek, and hello and good evening to everyone who has joined our session. So this is the third episode, and I'm going to talk about EC2, the load balancer, and security group. We'll have some quizzes in between, so to just make it a fun and interactive session. So and some hands-on as well. So let me share my screen. Just Vivek, hello.
Yep, I think
Can I
yours.
just can I just log back in just a sec? Okay, is that fine? I
Yeah,
can
sure, no
log out
issues.
and log back in. Okay, just a sec.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep, yep.
yeah.
That shouldn't be an issue. So, meanwhile, we have a couple of things to discuss as well. So, regarding our bootcamp and how our community operates. So, I think my screen is visible. So, yep. So coming back to our bootcamp, so there are a lot of questions which I answer from you people. So let me try to explain some FAQs. So the reason people ask why it is a community-led event is most of the speakers who are presenting to the 12 episodes are mostly first timers. In the sense, either they have an experience in AWS, but they never spoke in any of the sessions before, and there are people who actually who wanted to deliver the talk for the first time, so they are here as well. And there are a lot of people who are first stepping their journey into cloud and AWS, so they wanted to learn and share the knowledge. So we have a couple of speakers in that category as well. So coming to other aspects, we have practice test and doubt clearing sessions to make sure that you keep up with the pace of the bootcamp, and also help us, and also we help you to prepare along with the concepts and everything. So it's definitely we require to help you to clear your doubts and get some help. So we have an good network of expert people who will be available always in a Slack community. So you can reach out and you can drop a query and you can get your doubts cleared. And we will also organize special doubt clearing sessions so that we can collect our questions and we can together try to answer a couple of FAQs. and uh, and of course there might be one question to you: so what's the benefit out of learning from our bootcamp, from our community? So that's one important question. There are a lot of free resources available. We have skill builder and so on. So but there is one question which people usually ask me: so what's the right way to learn for a particular bootcamp? So that's what we provide you. So we have a very structured way of learning a few concepts. And also at the end, we also provide discounted AWS vouchers for you to take up and appear for your certification. So we provide an end-to-end support from the beginning of your certification journey to the end. And of course, the all the concepts which we learn in the recording or in the live stream will be more like a hands-on, will be like more like a concepts, but it does not really help in the certification or your knowledge journey. So we provide tasks for you to get started and apply the concepts which we have learned. So that will help you to understand and get to know about how AWS works, and to know about how each services can be configured and so on. So that's our motto of our cloud practitioner bootcamp. And just to check back with our speaker again. So
Yeah, I'm here, Vivek. Yeah,
oh, okay, great. So yep, the stage is yours. Like, if you can take over when you're ready.
sure. Yeah. Okay, it's my screen. What is happening? I'm having some issues
uh, can you see the
sharing my
share
screen.
screen button at the below?
Yeah, I can see it.
But it does not appear in my tab line to
Right,
put
right.
it on screen. So
Just a sec.
yeah, yep, sure, no issues. Yep. And coming back to our community and so on. Uh, the reason why we have a community in Madurai and as in Tamil Nadu is, reason is like we cover most of the south regions. And we actually like to collaborate with all my like-minded community people to for the only motive of knowledge sharing. So we do have lot of events, quizzes, and technical and non-technical sessions going in our community, so that we can keep you engaged in both in learning process as well as in a fun way as well. Yep.
Hey,
I
Vivek,
think
I'm back, huh?
yep,
Yeah.
you're back,
Can you
and I
see
guess
my
I
screen
can.
now?
Yep, it's visible. Yep.
I'm really sorry, guys. I had some problem sharing my screen, so I'm back now. Okay, it's fine.
Yep.
Okay,
Perfect.
so let's start the bootcamp session today. So let me go to first slide. Okay. So what is EC2? EC2 is basically your Elastic Compute Cloud. It's an infrastructure as a service. Now, what does that mean? Let's try to make an analog to our daily lives. Suppose say that you have a vehicle at home. Say you have a Nano or you have a Wagoner. Okay, and you want. I mean, it is good for traveling nearby. Okay, wherever you're say within the city, it's good to travel. But if you want to go say to some hilly area, you like driving and you want to go to hilly areas, how do you take that kind of vehicle there? It's not suitable. So what do? You rent a car, right? You use Zoom car or something if you want to go to some faraway places and which has a different kind of terrain. So you rent a car, and you go, and what do you actually pay for? You actually pay for the number of days that you use the car. Okay, the petrol and everything is it's upon you, it's your responsibility, but the payment of the days, the number of days that you use for, the number of kilometers that you use for, is something that you pay while if you use the Zoom car service, say, or the Ola rentals for that matter. Now if you want to say go to a temple with all your relatives, okay, so then what do? You get a van, or you get a this, if you're going to a pilgrimage place. So as your requirement changes, you need to keep changing, the way the vehicle that you're using. And you cannot kind of afford to buy each and every vehicle that you want. So what do? You rent it. So just think of EC2 in the same way. Okay, so you're here, in this case, you're renting actual servers or virtual machines. So in case that now you have developed a small app, so it's okay to use it on, a small instance of a server, like a smaller instance of a server. But if you say now you are getting a lot of requests, your number of users or subscribers are increasing, then what do? You have to move to a bigger machine. But then there is a lot of cost involved, there's a lot of setups involved in that. Then how do you get rid of it? So that's how, like, Amazon has come up with this concept of infrastructure as a service. So you just need to pay for the resources that they provide. Okay, the amount of and you just need to pay for the time you use. You don't have to pay about, you don't have to keep it with you for the entire time. Just when it's needed, you use it, and then you quickly dispose it off. So that's what makes it such an attractive feature. And this is one of the most common offerings that are used by the users of AWS or the customers. So now, what are the main components? So it's first is renting virtual machines, okay, which are servers, Linux or Mac OS or Ubuntu, any of that. Okay, there are a lot of it. We'll see all of them now. Then there are virtual drives when we store data. So there is data storage. Now your server or your machine needs to have some RAM. It needs to have an SSD where it can store. It's a hard drive when it can store data. So even that is something, it's so flexible. You can detach, you can attach volumes, you can easily get rid of volumes, you can add new volumes and get rid of them when you don't need them. So that's what makes that's what is the power of cloud. It's so agile and it's so good to use. It's so flexible. Then what else? There are load balancers. What do load balancers do? Basically, say you have 2 or 3 machines, okay, and you want that if there is a load on a single machine, then move the request to 2 other machines, or just distribute the load, so such that one machine does not crash, okay, when there is a lot of traffic on the network. So that's what you use ELB for. Now, what is auto scaling group? Now, say like we have seen all these Amazon sale days, right? So at that time, Amazon knows that they need a lot of servers because there's a lot of demand going to come in from the users. So what do? We can, in such a case, they can use a auto scaling group. What happens is that when needed, and as and when needed, they can increase the number of servers. And when it's not, I mean, say or say in the even night time, right? On the morning, if people are shopping a lot in between, say 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., then we'll say that between that time, just put 2 more servers so that it can handle the load. And as soon as that is done, that's called scheduled scaling. So I'll go over that. So as soon as that time is over, they'll get rid of the 2 servers and just use 1. So that's what is auto scaling. Okay, you automatically scale your load, your servers automatically scale the load that is coming in. Okay, so you don't have to manually increase or decrease the number of servers that are required to handle the load. Okay, so let's go to the next page. All right, so what are the sizing and config options that are available? So as I said, the operating system has Windows, Linux, Mac OS, to name a few. Then there are compute power, that is the CPU cores that are available. There's random access memory. There's network attached storage space. That is, we call this block storage because it's attached to the network. Okay, so it is EBS. And there is the file system storage, which is EFS. EFS because it is kind of shared across different EC2 instances, across regions. So that's EFS. Then there is something called EC2 instance store, which resides on the host computer. Okay. Then there is speed of the network card, public IP address, elastic IP address, this security group, which will be the firewall for the EC2 machine. Then there is a bootstrap script, which is the EC2 user data. So anything, say you want to install some updates, install some software on your machine, okay, at the boot time, okay, when it's just starting, then that's where you will mention the EC2 user data script. So I'll show you how to do that as well. Then even to download files from the web, everything, you can use EC2 user data. Now, just a second. Sorry. Let's check what are the instance types here. Okay. So yeah, so these are the EC2 instance types. Okay. From the cloud practitioner exam point of view, what you need to really know is what is the use case. Okay. So you'll be given a use case, say some instances needed for this particular, say, high high kind of computing, high level of computing. How do you do it? What kind of instance would you use? Say now, let's go over this general purpose instances. Okay. So there are general purpose, compute optimized, memory optimized, accelerated computing, storage optimized. There are all these different kind of servers available, machines available. Okay, so these are all the types you see. There's Mac, there's T4G. Okay, there are T3. So what does general purpose actually do? It provides a balance of compute and memory and networking. So it's a balance of everything. So you'll get the number of, it's something which can handle a average load. Okay, so something like, see, if we go here, right? So this is what, yeah. So this T2 micro is what comes under the free tier. So what is this? It has a one vCPU. Okay, it has one memory, 1 GB memory space, EBS only. So the storage space is only EBS, and the network performance is low to moderate. Okay, so similarly, say we go to a higher one. See, as it changes, right? M6A 8x large. So that is 34 vCPUs, 128 GB, instance storage EBS only. But see the network bandwidth, we get around 12.5 gigabits, and EBS bandwidth also increases. So what does this stand for? This instance size, M6A.12x large. So M is basically your instance type. Okay, so this is your general purpose instance. There's no set way. See, now they use either T or they use M. Okay, M5, M. Okay, M or T is what we usually see. So M is the instance type, 6A is the generation. So as and when the generation increases, like AWS will put up a new generation, then this will be bumped up, like 7A or something like that. Okay, and this 12x large is basically your the size of that instance. So that's decided based on the vCPU, the memory, and all of it. Let's move to the second one, that is compute optimized. So if you see, compute optimized instances are ideal for batch processing, media transcoding, all this. You see that. So this is what the question will be in the exam. Like if the client is wanting to use an instance for batch processing, then which instance do you think would be the right one? And then you'll have options. So that's how you use. So you'll have to understand. You don't have to remember these like C numbers or all these things. You don't need to remember the kind of instance families. You just need to remember what is the use case and what it will be used for. That's it. And what are the kinds of instance types. So for compute optimized, if you see, it starts usually with C. Okay, and okay, so this is how it looks like. Okay, see the vCPU increases, the network storage increases, all of it. The bandwidth increases. Now, if we go to memory optimized, these are the graviton processors and all, which are quite fast. Okay, so we either starts with R, X. Okay, so there's no fix this, but see, they are designed to deliver fast performance for large data sets. Okay, in memory databases, if you want to have, right? So that's when you use memory optimized instances. Then accelerated computing. So that's used for say floating point number calculations, graphical processing if you have. For those kind of workloads, you'll use accelerated computing based instances. Then there's storage optimized. So this is if you have, high number of read and writes, okay, that's happening into the local storage, say cache or something like that. Then you can have this to which will give you maximum IOPS and all that. Okay, low latency and high delivery of high number of IOPS. Okay, so this is one. Okay. Going to this. Sorry, just a second. So if you go here, this has all the kind of CPU type, the instances available, the names. Then you have what would be the Linux on-demand cost, reserved cost. So this Windows on-demand cost, Windows reserved cost. So all this is useful when you're going to one place to understand what is the kind of machine and what would be the amount cost that you would incur. Okay, so let me go back. Okay, so let's go to security groups. So we have completed the instance types. Now let's go to security groups. So what are security groups? They are, if you see the diagram, right? It's so EC2 instance resides. I mean, security group forms a firewall outside of the instance. Okay, so that's what controls the traffic from the outside world or from the say internet, from the World Wide Web to the EC2 instance. So it will only have allow rules. There is no deny. So there's no explicit deny. And by default, it allows all data to come in. But when it goes outside, we'll have to specify because outside going out of the EC2 instance is always denied. So unless and until we put some allow rules, no data or traffic can go out of EC2 instance. But yes, all traffic can come in because that's the default behavior. And it can also be, I mean, we'll understand this when we see the security group as such. But this is what it can also be referenced by an IP or a security group. That is, you can say that a particular IP or say if I am the user of the EC2 instance, only my IP should have access to it. And you can say that a particular security group should be able to talk to this security group. And now why do we do that? Let's check that part. Just a second. Before I go to that, let me come to this. Okay, fine. See. So you can say that if you see this, T2 is my EC2 instance. Okay, there's a security group on both two security groups on it. So it is like you can have multiple security groups on an instance, and all will add up. And you can also have one security group linked to multiple EC2s. That does not matter. Okay. So now if you say there is see, I've said that this IP, okay, say XXX is allowed to enter, talk to my EC2 instance. The inbound traffic is allowed. So that's what I have configured on the security group. So that will be, if you see the green line, it is allowed to communicate. Okay. But if I say that, if I put that kind of a role, I mean, that kind of a security, then any other port which is outside of my, sorry, Any other port which is outside of does not have my IP, right? Any other with any other IP will not be able to access. So that's the red line that we see. It will not be able to go through on the through this security group because there's a filter on the IP part. Then see the outbound traffic is always allowed. Okay, you are always allowed to send data out of. I think I went wrong in the beginning part. You are always allowed to send data out of the EC2 instance, but while coming in, you will regulate it. Okay, saying that would be the default behavior. Data is not allowed in, but data is allowed out of EC2. Okay, I went wrong. Sorry for that. Okay, and okay. Let's continue on the security group part. Vivek, do we see? Let me take a pause here. Do we see any questions around this?
Yeah,
Anyone
we
wants
have
to?
one question.
Yeah,
I think you can take it right now. So let me put it
right.
on the screen. Yep. So do we need to memorize these mission type details? So that's a question.
No, no. That's what I said. You don't have to. You don't have to actually memorize the types of instances or say that M stands for this, C stands for this. No, you just have to memorize what is the use case for that instance type. Where will it be used? Okay, as I said, batch processing or databases. That's the kind of question that would be asked. It won't ask on the type of instance. You don't have to worry about that, or the
Yep.
memory or the the CPU attached. Nothing like that. Just the use case. That's it.
Okay, we have one more question as well.
Yeah.
So from Pubalan, who is actually an active participant of the bootcamp. So
Right. Yeah.
do the
And he's also the
instant.
speaker for the next session.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. The question is, do the instance, one single instance in particular, we use in the long term will show some reduced performance like the physical machine which shows us when aging. For example, let's assume like I'm using a laptop. By the time when it goes, my laptop hardware will really worn out and my performance will reduce.
Right.
Similar in that case, will a cloud instance will also deteriorate if we use it for a long term.
See, when you are using it, right, the hardware specifically is uh, the the firmware of it. Okay, the hardware of it. Sorry, the hardware is totally AWS Cloud's responsibility. So you are responsible for the software, but the cloud is responsible. So it is their responsibility to keep it up to date and not allow it to deteriorate. So I don't think you'll have to worry on that. That
Yeah,
would be taken
exactly.
care of.
Exactly. And add one more point to it. So they actually guarantee us something called SLA, which is service level
Right.
agreements. So they actually give us 99.59s after that. So as a percentage of service agreement. So which means we can surely agree that the VMs will never deteriorate and there is no possibility that will go down and so on so.
Right.
So that's the thing which we have a shared responsibility between us and the AWS in many issues. And
Right.
then these issues the AWS really takes care of most of the stuff for us. Yep. I
Okay.
think these are the
Is it
questions
done?
as of now.
Okay. So
Uh,
let me continue. I'll
yep.
I'll take a pause in between whenever there's a need. I mean, I feel that okay, I'll have to stop for some time. Okay.
Sure.
So let's continue on the security group. So security groups, as I said, they can be attached to multiple instances. Okay, but they are locked to a specific region and VPC combination. So VPC stands for Virtual Private Cloud. Okay. So for one region, one VPC. Okay, it cannot be moved to outside of you cannot see if you go to a different region, right? You cannot see the same. You have configured a security group SD1 in say what how can I say it, Mumbai region, okay, AP South 1, and then you go to say outside of say New West Virginia, okay, and then you try to access SD1, it won't exist because it is locked to a particular region and a particular virtual private cloud combination. Okay, so there is this we'll see when we actually do the hands-on. So if you receive timeout, okay, while say you have created a web server EC2 instance, which we'll create in the hands-on, and if you try to access that your application, if you're trying to access your public IP address and you get a timeout, then that's a security group issue. That means that you have not configured your security group properly. There is the HTTP, something is missing there. The HTTP port, the communication is missing. And if you receive a connection refused, then that means that there is an it's not a SD issue. The security group is properly configured. It's an application error. So you need to fix whatever is wrong with your application, but it's not wrong with the security group as such. Okay, so by default, all inbound traffic, okay, that is traffic coming from outside, from World Wide Web to the EC2 instance is blocked. And by default, outbound traffic is allowed. Okay, that also we'll see whenever we try to create a SD, right? By default, you can see that in the outbound rules, you can see that there is one row which will say that all traffic is allowed. And inbound, there will be nothing, and you'll have to configure it. So we'll see that. This classic ports is also something that can come up in the exam. So I've added in the slide. So if you see 22, you just have to remember, that's not much. So just try to remember this. So 22 stands for SSH, that is logging into your Linux instance, or SFTP, that is uploading files using SSH, okay, to a different instance. And 21 stands for FTP, that is uploading files into your file share. If there's a file sharing system, then uploading data into that or files into that, you'll have to use 21 as the port. Okay. Then 80 stands for HTTP. 443 stands for HTTPS. So if you kind of try to log into any, you try to browse for any website, right? You see this HTTPS. So it's a secured website. There are SSL certificates involved. So for that, you'll have to a different port assigned here. And 3389 stands for your remote desktop protocol. That's logging into a Windows instance from your machine. So that's that. Okay. Now, as I said, right, you can always say that. I'll just go to that line back. Okay. You can either reference by IP or security group. Okay. So just if you see this. Right. So here we saw in the left side, it is about IP. If you have configured the security group to talk to only one IP, then it will allow that. Now, if you say you're allowing security groups to talk, okay, then why would you use this basically? Now, see, if say you have said that your security group on the instance SG1 is allowing this security group 1 and 2, okay, and you have security 2 configured here on this instance, security group 1 configured here, and you have a security group 3. So once you say that this security group can talk to both these, one security group can talk to both these security groups, then these 2 instances or 3 instances can talk to each other. So that's the power of it. Okay? You can communicate between instances, but the third one, right, security group 3, that won't be able to access because it's not attached to this security group, so it won't be able to access this instance. Okay. Now, okay. All right. So this is a bit of a theory, so you guys need to bear with me. Okay. So there are EC2 purchasing options. Okay. What kind of instances can you buy? I mean, how can you, like Mallan said, right? You are buying it for a long time. How do you do that? So what are the purchasing options? Even this, it is like a use case is what would be asked in the exam. I mean, you'll be given, say, you have a certain kind of a workload wherein you want to install a database on your, you have a database on your EC2 instance. Then what kind of instance would you go for? I mean, what kind of purchasing option would you go for? Would it be on demand? Would it be reserved? No, and in reserved, there are some flavors. So that's the kind of question that you'll get. Now let's go to see what kind of instances are available. So there is on-demand instance. That's the highest cost. Okay. So for all others, cost is detected based on, what percentage of on-demand from, like, say, reserved instances, it is 75% discount is given. So as compared to on-demand. So on-demand is the highest cost, and there is no upfront payment, no long-term commitment. Okay. You'll just say you just want to start, okay, a machine directly, okay, and we are not talking about the free tier. You just want to spin up any instance at the click of a mouse button. Then that's what on demand stands for. You just want to do it as such, okay. You are not. How will the billing happen for this kind of a machine? So Linux or Windows, it would be like billing per second. after the first minute. Okay. For other operating systems, say Mac or others, it would be billing per hour. Okay. For every hour you will be billed. Okay. For Linux or Windows, after the first minute, every second you will be billed. Okay. Now, let me ask a question here. Okay. Now, suppose that I or Vivek, we just start a Linux machine on demand. Okay. We just start it as such, and within 30 seconds, we close it down. Okay. We just terminate the instance. Then how much, I mean, what would be the cost that we'll incur? Would we be billed for 30 seconds? Would we be billed for 60 seconds? What would be the cost? Can anyone answer that? I mean, can anyone just give a thought? Are we getting any answers on that? Vivek? Vivek, you there?
Yeah, sorry. I guess
Hello?
they are still thinking about the solution. Probably we can give
Okay,
a
fine, fine.
couple of
All right,
minutes
all
or
right. Yeah,
something, or you can come back
let
to it
me.
later.
Yeah, fine. That's fine. Okay, just that's food for thought. Just think about it. So use cases. Let's go to use cases for on-demand instance. So short term, uninterrupted. I mean, you don't want to interrupt your workload. You want for a minimum time. Okay, small time. You're fine. You're fine to pay for that much. So pay per use it is. So you just use for some time and get rid of it. So that's what on-demand is for. Now, reserved instances. Reserved instances will provide 75% discount on as compared to on-demand. And there is some time for reservation. You cannot say that okay, I'll only have for 3 months. No, you will have to pay for. I say you'll have to either reserve for 1 year or for 3 years, and you'll get some discount for 1 year, but you'll get maximum discount for 3 years if you reserve for 3 years. Okay. And what kind of purchasing options? It is either no upfront. I mean, you're not going to pay all upfront. You are either going to pay partial upfront, partial amount. I mean, it will calculate what is going to be the amount charged to you for the 3 years or for the 1 year. Okay. And then either you pay, say you'll pay only half now. Okay. Then you'll get some discount. If you say you'll pay full now, then you'll get more discount. So you'll have questions in the exam which will say that okay, you are going to reserve an instance for say a certain amount of time, which would give you the maximum discount. So whether it would be 1 year partial upfront, 3 years all upfront, 3 years no upfront. So what is going to be that purchasing option which would be favorable, which would give you the most discount? So always remember that the most number of years, that is 3 years, and all the amount if you are paying at the same time, you will get maximum discount. So 3 years and all upfront would be giving you the maximum discount in that kind of case. Then here you'll have to always reserve a specific. I mean, you cannot say that okay, 6 months I will use this instance. After 6 months, just change the instance to something else. You can't do that. At the beginning itself, if you know that okay, my I want this steady amount of memory and all that, then you just take that instance type. You say okay, reserve this for 1 year or 3 years, and accordingly it will be reserved. It is usually done for steady state applications like a database. Okay, you know how much kind of what kind of machine you'll have to hold a database, what kind of data you might get, you know about it. So that time you will have to reserve like that. Then in reserved instances, there are two types. That is convertible. Convertible is where you will get the option of changing the instance type in between. Okay, after say some time you say that okay, this is not working, let's change the instance type to something else. So at that time you will but if you take that like convertible reserved instances, then you will get a lesser amount of discount. It's 54 because you're getting the option of changing the instance type. So that's why the amount of discount decreases. And then there's scheduled. Okay, you'll say that this is the time window. Okay, between this time window that is over in 1 to 3 years time, say around what can I say, between this month to this month, I need this much. Okay, I mean launch within this time only. Okay, so you are scheduling that when you need that reserved instance. Say, but you'll always have to give the commitment of 1 to 3 years. You cannot say that okay, I'll only use for these 3 months. No, you have to, whenever you take reserved instance, the period of like years is always 1 or 3, and you'll just say that between this say for 6 months now, you just start this instance and then stop it after 6 months. Then again after in the next 6 months you can do that, something like that. So you'll give a window within which it has to be launched. Okay. Then there are spot instances. Spot instances give you the highest discount, that is 90% compared to the on demand. Okay. But the problem is that the moment say someone else, it's like it's like a share market. Okay. It's say that for this instance, someone is going to give a higher price. Then this instance goes to that person and you lose it. Okay. So you just pay the price. The moment the price you have paid exceeds the spot price, you lose it. So it is something which you want for interrupted workloads, say batch jobs or data analysis, image processing, that kind of workloads, so distributed workloads. Say you have a cluster, okay, a Hadoop cluster, and you want to you want multiple systems, and you don't need like all the system need to be running. Okay, so you go for some spot instances, so to get some discount on the pricing. And even if they fail, doesn't matter, you have a cluster, so others will take the load, something like that. So if you have distributed workloads with flexible start stop time, in that case you go for spot instances. So always remember, this part is basically for the amount of discount that you're getting and your use cases. That's what will be asked from this section in the exam. Okay, then there are EC2 dedicated hosts. This is if say your application needs a particular compliance. Okay, I mean software licensing, you have a kind of software license wherein you want the entire host to yourself. You don't want anyone else accessing that host. Okay, the physical host, the physical server host, you want it to yourself. So that's EC2 dedicated host. So in that case, you'll get the entire host to yourself. And this usually done like in when you have complex compliance requirements. I mean, I would rather say it would go for some place wherein you have license which has to adhere to some policies in that kind of and or if you have your own software license and you don't want that, you don't want to set up anything else. So that time you will go for dedicated host. It's the most expensive and the use case is complex. So whenever you see BYOL or you see complicated licensing model, think of dedicated hosts. That's what it will go for. You can't go for any other instances in that case. Then there are EC2 dedicated instances which run on hardware that's dedicated to you. Both of these are a bit, I mean, when you hear it seems similar, but let's go to the next slide to understand the difference here. Okay, see. So both of them here in dedicated host, right? When you have the entire host to yourself, that gives you more flexibility. You have per host billing. You have here, if you see dedicated instance, you have per instance billing. Okay, for each instance you will be billed, but for a dedicated host you'll be billed for the entire host as such. Okay, so even and on your host, other instances can also be running. I mean, and someone else can also run that in an instance, and you'll be only billed for the instance that you run. Okay, so it's not like you don't have the control over the host. You only have it on the number of instances that run for you. Then there are visibility of sockets, scores, and host, affinity between. Then target, you can say that where your instance has to be placed. Okay, but in case of dedicated instance, it's like you will, I mean, AWS will place it anywhere, and that's how you have to use it. I mean, you cannot say that place it here only. I mean, you do not, because you do not control the host as such. Okay. All right. Now next. So here comes the shared responsibility. I think last time we already spoke about the shared responsibility, but it was on a general level. Okay. Now, if you go to EC2, what is the shared responsibility model there? So for AWS side, the entire global infrastructure, their regions, their availability zones, local zones, everything they'll handle. Okay. The network security, their physical network security, they'll handle. Okay. And they'll give ISO. Say if you have a dedicated host, okay, EC2 dedicated host, they will give isolation. So no one else will be able to tamper with your host. So they'll give that kind of isolation to you. Then they'll replace faulty hardware. As for Pubalan's question, right? It's totally AWS's responsibility. If your hardware goes, I mean, you will not suffer because your hardware is not working as it's faulty. AWS has to change it. It's as per the SLA. Okay. Then compliance validation. So whether their systems are compliant or not, because there will be number of things that will be signed between the user and AWS when they put up for this instances. So this will include that. I mean, compliance has to be, they have to look up for the compliance as well. On your part, what the user has to do, they have to set up proper security groups. They because any kind of security breach, okay, on the group, I mean, what data enters, it's totally in your hand. So you have to set up proper security group. Then operating system patches and updates. So they have given you the instance, okay. So the software is yours to utilize. So updating the software, updating the operating system, updating the patches, that's all your job. Patching it up, it's your job. Whatever softwares and utilities you have installed, keeping them up to date, it's your job. Then setting up IAM roles, who can access the EC2 instance, who cannot access, that's also the user. That's my job as the user of the EC2 instance. Then data security, that is encrypting the data that you hold on the instance. Okay, if you're using a database, you have to encrypt it. So that's because the instance is given to you. Whenever if you set up your own database, then it's your responsibility to keep the data secure. Okay. All right. Before going to the quiz, yeah, any questions?
Yep, we have a couple of questions from Aftab, so I think we can take it from there. So we had an open-ended question earlier, like what will be the VM charge if we shut it down in 30 seconds, correct? So
Yeah.
Aftab answered that we'll be charging it by per hour basis. So that's the answer which we have received so far.
Okay.
So, yep, he
Yeah,
mentions
I'll
that the
clarify
VM
on that.
will be charged from per hour from the moment the EC2 is activated.
Let me go
So
back
I,
to that slide. Okay, sorry, this is the okay. See, as I said, right, Linux, or I mean, I was going to start a Linux machine. Okay, so I hope I had said that Linux machine, and I would be only charged. Okay, if I exceed the first minute. So within 30 seconds, if I close this instance, right? If I start a Linux instance, I close it within 30 seconds. I won't be charged anything. If I cross the first 60 seconds, okay, then I'll be charged for every second after that. Okay, so you need to remember that this is one of the questions that comes up in the cloud practitioner, that if you're using it within the first minute, will you be charged or not? You won't be. The moment you exceed the first minute, that's when you start it's very important to know the wording. So billing per second after the first minute. So after the first minute only you'll be charged. So there's no charging. So let me answer that one. Yeah.
yeah, perfect. So I guess we have one more question. I guess we can take it
Sure.
now. The question from Aftab again. So,
Mm-hmm.
how much time AWS gives in advance to withdraw a spot an instance if they get a higher price on the spot we reserved earlier?
I think it would be instantly. I mean, if you're going into a spot instance, na, you'll know that it would be taken away anytime. That's why they say it clearly that if you're going for a spot instance, know that it would be taken away anytime the moment the price you have given increases the spot price of that instance. Okay, so it will be instantly. That's why you have to be sure whether when using spot instances, what use case you are using it for. If it's something which is you want to do it for a workload which is not supposed to be interrupted, never go for, or you're going to set up a database on a spot instance, you're going to lose it. So you shouldn't be doing something like that. So there instantly, it will be instantly.
Perfect. I
Yeah.
guess that sums up the question. So, I guess we have one
Sure.
more. Uh, yep. I think Satyan also added an extra point to that. So, spot
Hmm.
instances interruption notice, it gives us 2 minutes warning. So,
Okay.
as what Satyan has suggested, I think that's one thing
Okay.
which we can look into. But
Yeah.
yep, thanks for
Right.
that.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep, we can continue, and I will. We can take up the questions in a little while.
All right. Okay. So here's the EC2 quiz. If people on the who are watching this want to answer it, which EC2 purchasing option will provide the highest discount? Okay, whether it is scheduled instance, convertible instance, on demand, or spot instance. Then which security tool would be used to regulate traffic in and out of EC2 instance? Whether it is NACL, that is Network Access Control List, IAM, security group, or EC2 instance role. Then if a company wants to deploy a high performance computing app on EC2, Which EC2 instance type should it use? Whether it is compute optimized, storage optimized, general purpose, and memory optimized.
Okay.
So yeah, we
So
can.
one thing we can actually to encourage the participants. So I think we have three questions for this, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So yep, we'll consolidate the answers based on the comments and who answered it first. So
right,
one lucky winner will get a cloud credit for answering all the three questions. So we can have this slide a little bit while
great.
so the people can uh,
Sure, sure, sure.
answer the questions. So you
Okay,
can drop your answers in the chat, and we will only consider the make sure that you actually mark the question number so that it will be easier for us to identify. And we will only consider the answer which was answered first for one particular question. For example, if Pubalan answered for first question spot instances, then if he tries to change the answer, we will only consider the first answer for it. But yep, uh, try to drop in the answers as quick as possible. You are competing with others, so there are a lot of people there are people actually commenting down the answers. So based on that, we'll select the winner to for that as well. So I guess we can give a couple of minutes for them to answer. I guess we are getting receiving
sure, sure.
answers from Aftab, Puvalan, and Srinivas, and
Come
it's
on, guys, you're supposed to win cloud credits. You can use it for your practical, doing the practicals. They're actually
yep.
helpful.
And yeah, like I do love getting cloud credits. I used to ready-made, so it
True.
really covers my AWS bills as well. So yep.
Yes, 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 yes.
So
You see
Uzair
that in the billing
Akbar
console.
Raja also answered all the three questions. So let's
Great.
see. We'll consolidate all the answers and then declare the winner at the end of the session, and also in our
Sure.
Slack channel. So if you haven't still joined our Slack channel, please do join, because we do have a lot of announcements coming up, and we engage the users much more there than in the live session. So we'll declare the winners in a little while. So I guess
All right.
let's give one more minute because we are still receiving a couple of answers.
Sure.
So
Let me give it open. Yeah.
I guess there is a new competitors who are joined as well. So Abhimanyu Sharma also started to answer. So okay, so I guess we'll wrap it up. We'll again come back to the quiz a little bit later. But yeah,
Sure,
you
sure.
can feel free to drop the answers when you find time.
Okay. I'll go to the next slide. It's fine. Right? Or should I be giving up the answers now? Are we closing the contest then? I mean, closing the quiz. Vivek, you're on mute. Hello.
Yeah, I guess we have received the answers. There is a new member as well, so I guess we can reveal the answers at the end of the session, so so
Okay,
that
fine.
we can keep the answers coming
Yeah,
up,
we
and we
can
can.
keep getting people. Yeah, yeah, to
Yep.
answer. Yeah, yeah. Sure, sure, sure. Okay, okay, okay. Because see, there are two more quizzes coming up. So just yeah, fine. Let's do it. Okay, fine. So now we go to the storage part of EC2. Okay, what are EBS volumes? EBS volumes are basically network drives which can be attached to the EC2 instances, and they are used to persist data. You want to store your data somewhere, okay, from the EC2 instance. So that's where EBS volumes come in come in handy, and they can be mounted to one instance at a time. I mean, at least at the CCP level, it's they multi-attach is possible, but at the CCP level, you only have to know that it can be mounted to one instance. Okay, and it can be logged. It will be logged to a specific availability zone. Okay, you cannot say you cannot keep log. You cannot use an ABS which is used in say AP South 1A in AP South 1B. I'll show that to you. So they are locked to a specific availability zone. It has a provision capacity in gigabytes, and there are IOPS, how much input output it can write. I mean, it can be written within a second. Okay. Then for an EC2 instance, the root EBS volume by default is checked to be deleted post instance termination. That means if you're using a EC2 instance and you're after your use root EBS volume, that is something that is given by default to your EC2 instance, would be terminated at the same time. I mean, it would be wiped off at the same time. You'll be you cannot find it later on. Okay, so it will be by default it will be deleted. Okay, now let's see this. Okay, this is just this like if you have say US West 1A. Okay, this is an availability zone in US West 1 region. So in 1A, you will have say there are two instances. One has an EBS volume of 20 GB attached. Another one has two EBS volumes attached. And there is an availability zone US West 1B, and it has one EBS volume attached to it. And there is one which is unattached. This is fine. This does happen that there are unattached volumes. Okay, but yeah, so you can have multiple EBS volumes attached to an EC2, and also you can have unattached volumes. That's what this shows. Then there are okay, now if you want to see, as you cannot move your EBS volume to another AZ. Okay, then what do you do if you want to create a copy of your you want to move actual data from your EBS to some other availability zone? So you have the option of creating a snapshot. So what are snapshots? They are basically used to copy the data on your EBS volume and then move it to another EBS volume in another AZ. So they can be used as backups. So remember one thing, this is not happening in real time. I mean, say after creating a snapshot and creating another EBS in another AZ, if you make changes in your EBS in US East 1A, then that won't reflect in the EBS created in US East 1B from the snapshot of this EBS. That is because this is not happening in real time. You're creating a snapshot, so that has data from US East 1 EBS at that point of time, and then you create the EBS in the next AZ. Okay, so you have to remember that it's not happening in real time. It is just taking a backup and then restoring it somewhere else. That's it. Okay, that's how you can copy it across AZs and or regions as well. Okay, so that's that. Okay, right. So after this, we'll go for an hands-on. Okay, so this is a AMI. AMI is a Amazon Machine Image. Okay, what is it? It is a customization of your EC2 instance. I mean, it's a one-stop shop wherein you can say what your EC2 instance would be. I mean, what would be the underlying operating system? What would be your software that you're going to install on it? What is going to be the EBS volume? What is going to be the storage group? Security group associated with it. All of these configs you can do at a single location. It's your AMI. Okay. AMI is also built across a specific region. Okay. It is suppose that I create an AMI in Mumbai region. I can see it in all of its AZs. Okay. So a region would be divided into 3 or 4 AZs. So there I'll be able to see it. Okay. And so EC2 instances I can launch either from a public AMI, which is provided by AWS. I can also like have a private AMI, okay, which is created and maintained by me. I have created a private AMI. I have created my own AMI and I can use it. Okay, it will be only visible to me. So that's why it's a private AMI. Then there is AWS Marketplace AMI. Okay, that is something which has been created and sold by a third-party vendor. Okay, so someone else is responsible for it, and that's why when you use it, you have to be careful because it's not AWS provided, so you don't get all that. What can I say? The shared responsibility parts that we saw earlier, that you do not get in like when you use a third party, you do not know whether whether it is it will be legitimate, because there will be some agreements with them as well, but that's what, whether it will work or not and all that, that's or whether it will comply with your requirements, that you'll have to check. Okay. And okay, so what is a custom AMI? You suppose that you want to, as I said, it's for a specific region, but you can also say you're creating an AMI here. Okay, you create that AMI, okay, you have an instance in US East 1A. Okay, you create an AMI out of it and launch that AMI in US East 1B. Same way like we did snapshots. So you can create from an instance, you can create an AMI and use that AMI to launch an instance in another AZ. Okay, now before I go to EC2 Image Builder, let's go to some hands-on now. Oh, wait a second. Okay, let's go to the hands-on. I think we have done too much of theory today. Okay, I'm logged in. Okay, see, this is my Asia Pacific zone because this is the closest to me, and this is my IAM user. So remember one thing. I mean, because we are we are going to do hands-on wherein we'll actually start servers. So we have to be sure that we are within the free tier. Okay, let's go to billing console once. Just set this up before you try to start your hands-on, because that will give you any time, because it might happen that you're experimenting and sometimes you start instances which are not in the free tier. Then it can happen that if you follow what I am doing, you won't incur, because I am also going to stick to T2 micro. But if you're going to experiment, then it's better to keep the billing So how do you read your bills? Okay, this is my bill for March 2022. Okay, see, I told you I got a $0.5 credit was adjusted because I had used the route 53. You see here, I have got a route 53. So I had mapped a record. Okay, I had mapped a CNAME record to the route 53. It will come up earlier, but later in our I created that, and that incurred me some price. Okay, so always know how to read your billing dashboard. So you can go under each service, and it will give you details. Okay, that particular region, how much, whether it has incurred, what is the free tier you have used, things like that. So set this up. But when setting it up, now this is my IAM user. Okay, but this is my IAM user. If you see IAM user, okay, go to your root. Okay, that I have used, this is my IAM user, but I have a root account. So through that root account, I have logged in, and because when I log in through my IAM user, I won't be able to see this dashboard until just a second. Okay, you need to go to your billing dashboard. Okay, same way, billing console. If you go in your uh, root user, you'll see this. Okay, IAM user, and so you have to activate IAM access for your what is that your IAM users. Only when you for IAM users, if you activate this button and you say save, only then it will allow you to see the billing dashboard. So make sure you do that. Only then you'll be able to come log in and see your bills and your billing dashboard as well. So here, if you go to free tier, you'll see what is the let me maximize this. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. See, for AC2, what is the forecasted usage? What is the actual usage? I'll come to know what is the current use? What am I currently? What is actually covered in the free tier usage, and what I have actually used. 500 requests only used, while 2000 post put copy post list requests are allowed. I've used 500. So that way, what is the percentage of usage? Okay, fine. Now, okay. So once that is done, yeah, you have to also set up budgets. Let me go to budgets. I have a budget set up. Okay, create a budget. In any case, go to cost budget. Say test my budget. Monthly budget recurring May 2022. That's fine. Enter your say what is the amount of amount you are going to put away. Okay, say $10. Okay, it will not come to that, but you have to say what amount you are willing to put in, and you'll say after how much. Say if it exceeds 50, if your expenditure exceeds $10, then sorry, $5. That is 10. half of what 50% of your budgeted amount, then you will have a billing alarm coming up. Okay, billing alarm will come up here. Okay. Right now, it's not showing up anything, but it will come up here when you can see what is your current cost. Okay, let's go here to $10. Then I add an alert threshold. Like I say that 50, when it exceeds 50%, $5 if it comes up to, when my actual cost that I've incurred, okay, there's an actual cost, there's a forecasted cost. So if actual I have incurred, there's $5. If it exceeds, this actual cost exceeds $5, then send an alert to me saying that your monthly amount is going above this. Okay, and I can set an email recipient. You can set up your Google account or anything, and it will send there. Similarly, for this one, it is like say around 70% or say 40%. 40% of my forecast, that is $4. If it exceeds the forecasted one, then send me an alert. So I'm not going to save this because this is what is done basically, and others are all optional ones. This is what is of importance. You have to set up a budget. You have to keep away a budgeted amount, and you have to keep away the alerts. I mean, you have to set up the alerts, so you'll get alerted whenever your for budget goes. It increases some portion of your budget. You'll get a billing alarm. Okay. Now let's go to EC2. I think we have had a lot of So this is the EC2 console. Okay, I'll launch an instance now. So as I said, right, AMI, Amazon Machine Image. Okay. So here in free tier, you see free tier eligible. This quick start is your AWS AMIs, okay, which are available. My AMI would be the AMI that I have created. AWS Marketplace would be something that is being kind of, third party ones. So you'll have to be sure of, whether like the amount of, they'll be giving all the details. So you'll just have to check whether it is from the right source or not, what kind of software you need from vendor you need it from. Community AMIs are basically something that have been developed by communities. Okay, the open source communities. Right. So let's go here. Let's start with this. Okay. So I've selected the free tier eligible T2 micro. So here you can see T2 micro, 1 vCPU, 1 GB storage memory, 1 EBS only, and performance is low to moderate. Let's go to, so it says that this would be in this my default virtual private cloud. I can also create a new virtual private cloud also, that's not a problem. Then I can also set up what subnet I want it in, whether it's in AZ1, 1A, 1C or 1B. So it will be accordingly attach that subnet to it. So now for now, I will not give any subnet. Then auto assign, this is already auto assign public IP. So public IP will be assigned to my instance. Then I have placement group. Okay. So this EC2 user data, right? That is the bootstrap data that I talked about. Now let me go to. Now let me okay. Let me set up a. Okay. This is, I'm going to set up an Apache server. Okay. So web server. So I'm going to create a web server instance now. Text. This is fine. This is your root volume. See, by default, there is a root volume, root EBS volume that's attached to your instance. Okay, and by default, it's delete on termination is ticked, but you can untick as well. Okay, so the use cases, if you want it not to be deleted so that you can attach it to another instance later on, then you have to untick. Otherwise, you can keep it ticked. So for now, I'll do it that way. Next is tags. Now tags, we'll see why tags are used, but let me just set it up for now. Bootcamp, okay. Next is my security group. Okay. See, as I told you, right, I'll create a new security group for this bootcamp itself. I have a lot of them otherwise. Bootcamp. Okay. All right. Okay. By default, it allows, default, it's allowing 22, that is SSH, it's allowing into this machine. Now let me go for HTTP. Because I want it to be a web server. So it has to be accessible from the web. That's why on HTTP, it will allow data from anywhere. It is the first one is IPv4 and the second one is IPv6 format. That's Internet Protocol version 6 format. Then review and launches. It's fine. Okay. See, it says that the security group bootcamp SG is open to the world because I have allowed access from any IP address. So usually, if I go back previous, if I say, usually it says custom anywhere, that is anywhere in the world, or my IP. So in case of my IP, it will populate my own IP there. Okay, so that's why you need to you can restrict. Okay, when we saw, we could restrict it using my IP. Okay, so my IP one, and all right. Okay, everything looks fine. Let's launch it. Existing key pair. Let's launch this instance. Go to view instances. It will take some bit of time. So if you see, start spending. Let it go to running. It's still booting up, and but you can see that is the power of cloud, that you have just at the click of a mouse and with just a few kind of config knobs, you are able to set your own server. Okay, that's the power of the cloud, that you can. You similarly see that here, right? You can stop, you can reboot, or you terminate your instance. So it's that easy. Okay, so let's go here. So you see this is the public IP address that is assigned to your instance. Okay, this is a private IP address. One thing is that your public IP address will change every time you restart your instance. Say you stop your instance and start again, your public IP address changes. The IP address that's given now, it goes away, and then you get a new IPv4 address. Okay. Similarly, now next, if we go, this is the AMI that has been, so it's an Linux AMI, and you can see these AMI name and other details. And I had told you that the use of tags, right? So if you see this name that has come up, it's what I had given it, right? In bootcamp demo EC2 is what I gave it. So that's why that helps. The tag helps when you're, say, when another service is creating these instances. We'll see. So we can understand if you have multiple EC2 instances, you can understand where it is used. Say if you want to say this is used in production, this is used in SIT, this is used for dev environment, you can make that kind of tags. So tags are used everywhere in like on this AWS console. Okay, now let's go to this public IPv4 address. There is the second copy. Yeah. Okay, see this. So this is showing you my whatever I had set up in the boot script, right? I had said that in this. Okay, let me show that script again. Okay, I had said hello world from this host name. So in the host name, it is showing me my private IP address. If I show you 172.31.44.255, that is your private IP address. If you see here. Okay. So this is the power of cloud, and this is the power of EC2 instances, that you can so easily kind of create your own web server instance. You don't need that much of work going in, that much of configuration going in. So that's that, and I think we have spoken about AMI now, and I've shown you. Now, as my work is done, I'll just show you that if you stop your instance, stopping. Okay, this is stopped. Right now, again, if I start this one, okay, now if you see, it has changed the IPv4 address. The IPv4 address that I used earlier was 13.127. This was the public IPv address that I used. Now it has changed to 3.1.1.1. So that's what happens. Now let's see how we can connect to this instance. Okay, you can either connect, because when we saw the shared responsibility model, we could install software updates. We could install our own software on this instance. So how do we kind of access it? Okay, there is one way on the console itself, that is through EC2 instance connect. Okay, so this is the instance ID, this is the IP address, this is the username. If you connect here, okay, so voila, you're just connected. So you can do anything here. It's the CLI is already available, so command line interface is here, and you just say something like ping google.com. Wait a minute. So you are able to ping, so you are able to speak to the outside world, right? So this is one way. All right. The another way is to use your I'll use, I mean, I'm on my machine. So from machine, if I open, say, my terminal, okay. So for Windows, either Windows less than 10, I think Windows, if it is less than version 10, you will have to use putty. But above 10, I think you can use the command prompt itself, okay, to SSH. So say I say, I have to have my public IPv4 address. So 3.11.1.1. Copy it. So it does not allow me to. It says permission denied. Okay. So what if you remember, I had already configured a key pair. Okay. So what I need to do is I have to use that key pair to access into my machine. Yeah, see, so here I have my key pair. This is my key pair because I had stored it down. So this key pair I'll have to use. So I'll have to say something like this. Okay. So now I'm allowed to SSH in. Okay. This has happened because I have already set this up on this machine. But sometimes when you do this, right, you might get an error saying that this PM file cannot be read. So what you need to do is basically, just a second. So I'll just show this here that See, so I'm able to communicate to my EC2 user. Okay. If I show another environment. Okay. So here I'll just show you what kind of. So if you get this error, right, what you need to do, I mean, the kind of error wherein your security key is not getting identified, then you just change the mode on it, like 0400. Okay. So if you run this, it will change the access permissions on this is PM file. And after that, if you run this line, right, ssh.i and this, then it will be able to access your, it will allow you to access your system. So that's how you do it on a Linux system. And in case you are trying to do it on a Windows system and you're not able to do it, okay, here because Windows system you do not have chmod as a command, so there you'll have to physically change the user on that. You'll have to click. Just a second. You'll have to physically click and change the user on this file. Okay. So if anything like that, if you're trying it and you're not able to, just let me know over Slack or any of our channels, and I'll help you out in that. Okay. So okay, going back. Now, as my work is done, I should not be leaving this running because it's better to terminate the instance if it's not being used. So I'll terminate it. Shutting down. Okay. Yeah. Vivek, just a time check. Huh? We have exceeded like the time. So do I continue? How do we do this? Vivek, you're speaking on mute.
Yep. Sorry for that. Yep. So we don't have a specific time constraint, but
Okay.
if you want, you can continue as per your plan.
All right. Because we have lot of things to cover, even more things to cover. So how do I do this? I'm thinking. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's go to EC2 Image Builder. Okay. We'll stop at the storage quiz part. Okay. So let's go for the EC2 Image Builder. So what is EC2 Image Builder used for? It's basically used to automate the creation of the and maintenance. I mean, all this, using the AMI, creating an EC2 instance, all that can be automated. So you will have to have a builder, okay, which will create your AMIs. Okay, it will test whether your instances that will be created from that VMI will work fine or not, and all that. So it will all your images would be validated, maintained, created, everything from your EC2 image builder. We'll see that in some time. And this can be run on a schedule. You can say that from this time to that time you test the whether my images, my instance images or my machine images or my container images would work or not. Okay. And this is a free service. So you just pay for whatever instances will get created underlying to that configuration. Once you run the validation, the maintenance, the testing, what underlying resources are getting created, that's what you pay for. Okay. So you have an EC2 image builder. You'll first create a builder EC2 instance, okay, wherein you will so this is how the process happens. You have the builder, you'll say that you'll give all the configurations, then it will create a builder instance, okay, wherein all the build components, whatever software you have told that it has to say, you have said install Java, install uh, you know uh, what all kind of softwares you want it installed on that machine. So if you give that, it will create that builder instance. It will create a new EMI. Okay, that AMI would be tested. Okay, whether the AMI is working fine or not, whether it is secure or not. That kind of test suite would be run, and then you can give the configuration settings in the EC2 image builder, which will then say how it will be distributed across multiple regions. Okay, so before we go, let's go to EC2 image builder and see how it works. Okay, I hope it's terminated. Okay. Let's go to AMI's EC2 Image Builder. Let's create a okay. See, as I said, you can schedule it to run from like every week. You run this to test my machine images. So that way it will set it. You can either give a cron expression wherein you rather than mentioning it through the drop down, you give an expression which says what's the minute, hour, day of the month, all these things. So it's an expression in that way. It's a syntax that is followed. Then either you can have manual. So here I'll select manual. Okay. Create a new recipe. Okay. So I'll create a new recipe here. Recipe is basically what kind of software configurations you need. All these things when you mention, right? So that forms a recipe here. So I'll say the image type should be Amazon machine image. Okay, let me give a name to this recipe. I'll take an Amazon. See here, quick start. There is Amazon managed. So let me take that. Okay. Nothing on the instance configuration. Nothing on the working directory. I can have Java installed here and say the CLI command line, because command line, if we check, I think command line yeah, I think command line version 1 is what is configured on the machine. So we'll just update it to CLI version 2. Here you can say, okay, you can say that in what sequence the component has to be tested and created and tested. Then you can test the components. Say you can create a test component. You can say how your machine image has to get tested. You can write your own testing configuration and you can put that component here. So there is a root volume already attached, if you see, with that image. And if I go next, yeah, it has an instance profile. So either you can say create an instance configuration profile. It is basically it's a role. Okay. If I use a role, just a second. I have it, but I'll just show you how to create it. Okay. Create new role. So when I say create new role, it goes for so here what you do, what roles it needs, your role name, right? What kind of role here? Sorry. I need it for each system. Okay.
I think your session, I guess your screen is a little bit stuck. Okay, now it's working.
Sakrit?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
no, I guess now it's working perfect.
Can choose this. So here is where you'll create that. Okay. You'll get the policy from this. Okay, the role policy is here. That is what you will use to configure. I already have it here. If you want to see, I can show it to you. See the roles. Uh, so if you see, yeah. So these are the SSM managed core EC2 instance profile for image builder. So these are what are required permissions. So here, let me select, yeah, IAM role for image builder. Now what infrastructure do I need? Here I'll go for this free tier one. Then I'll set up tag. Now it's going to distribute in AP South 1. I think that's fine. I can also create my own distribution settings. I can say that it has to be sent to multiple regions. That also will happen. But right now I'll keep it as default. So this is it. This is it. This will create a pipeline which will create, validate, maintain, and test my AMI. Okay, let's see what happens here. Where's the second? The source tags. Where is it? Let's check everything. Just a second. This is it. Okay, it's creating the pipeline. Let's go to. This was my bootcamp demo pipeline, which I created now. So let me open it. So this has just created a pipeline. Now I have to run the pipeline. So action and run. See, it's creating an AMI, so it's in pending status. I have to show you how it works. So let me go to AMIs. It's not yet created, I will think. No. So go to instances. Okay, see, I told you that it will build the AMI. It will build the AMI, right? So here it just created a build instance, okay, that AMI. So when if I go back to this, right, so yeah, this is a builder instance, okay. So this is what has got created here. This is a builder instance for that API by image builder, which is running right now. It will automatically run, it will terminate, and then it will start the test instance, it will terminate that, and that's how that. Now if you check the AMI also, it's not yet created, building it. So let it build, let it complete, and then we'll see the AMI has gotten created. So it does take some time. So in the meanwhile, right, let's go and finish the rest of some slides. Okay, so what is an EC2 instance store? Okay, we'll go back to the image builder. So EC2 instance store is basically your hardware disk, okay, which is attached to the host computer of your EC2 instance. It is used because it's a local storage device, so it gives better I/O performance. Okay, but there is one thing that if you terminate or stop your instance, right, it will be lost. I mean, the data on that instance would be lost. So, what is the use case for using an EC2 instance store? That's a buffer or a cache or a temporary content, right? That's what you will use an EC2 instance for, instance store for. Sorry. And yeah, if even if the hardware fails or there is any problem with the hardware, then even then it can happen that your EC2 instance store gets wiped and you'll lose the data. So backup and replication of the EC2 instance store data is your responsibility. So you have to know if you're using EC2 instance store, that you can lose the data at any time. Okay, right. Then okay. So this is the difference between EC2 like instance store and EBS. So your left-hand side is your EC2 instance store, which is on the host hardware, okay, and the right-hand side, host computer, and right-hand side is your EBS volume, okay, which is a block mapping device, which also, I mean, which can be attached or detached from your. It is basically like a network USB stick, so you can remove it from this instance and attach it somewhere else. But here, this one is attached to your host computer, so you cannot remove it from there. Okay, so it's static that way. Okay, let me go back and check whether what has happened here. Still running. Okay. It will take some time to run, and yeah, it's still running. It takes a while, right? So EFS, right? There's Elastic File System. So this is another kind of storage option. So what does EFS do? Like EBS and everything, EC2 instance store has some kind of what can I say? Limitation, right? I mean, it is only locked to a certain region, certain AZ. But EFS is something that is shared across, like across AZs, across regions, and this is a file-based storage. So you have to understand EBS and EC2 instance store are block levels. I mean, block level storages. Okay, and here which is either on the network on the host computer. But EFS is basically a file storage device. Okay, so this managed this is basically AWS management, which can be mounted on hundreds of EC2 instances, and it will be in sync. As I said, snapshot and everything, when you take a snapshot, it's never in sync. So in real time, whatever changes you make in one EBS volume would not be replicated in another EBS volume created from its snapshot. Okay, but in EFS, it's in sync. I mean, when hundreds of EC2 instances are trying to access one EFS, So if one system writes into it, then another system can read at the same time. Okay, so it's very much in sync. It works with Linux EC2 instance in multi-AZ. Okay, so it's very highly scalable, available, and also expensive. It's pay per use, and you don't have to plan for its capacity. Okay, so there is one flavor of this EFS because it's you see it's expensive, right? So you have an option of going for EFS IA, okay, which is basically if it's not accessed, if you have files on this storage device, storage system, which is not accessed for a long time, okay, so that you can move to this EFS IA location. I mean, what is that? EFS IA system. Okay, it's in the backend, it's always available, but it's a different storage class when it is moved. So it provides around 90% lower cost than your EFS standard. That is the one above, which we use. And if you want to enable EFS IA, okay, then you'll have to do it with a lifecycle policy. That is, you'll have to say that move the data, these particular files to EFS IA if your data is not being accessed for 60 days. Okay? You have to give some kind of lifecycle policy for it. Then there is FSX for cluster. This is basically for Linux clusters. Okay, if you have multiple like Linux clusters, I mean multiple Linux-based instances used in a cluster, then you have to use this storage. This would be better because it will give you like high performance scalable storage. Okay, for high performance computing. Like if you are the use cases would be machine learning, analytics, video processing, financial modeling. All these are its use cases. So you definitely will have to remember what is the use case. Okay, when you're for the CCP exam, always remember the use case for these storage devices. Okay, and this scales up to 100 GB per second, millions of IOPS, and sub millisecond latency. So the latency is, I mean, it gives you good amount of, it is like sub millisecond. You won't, I mean, your data, you can access data without much delay. Okay, and it can be accessed from AWS as well as on premises. So if you have a hybrid cloud, say your part of your infrastructure is on premises, in your office premises, and part of the infrastructure is in cloud. So your EC2 instances on your premise as well as on your cloud can all access this FSX system. So it is very handy that way. So just let me show you the difference between EBS and EFS. This is a diagrammatic this. So you have availability zone 1, availability zone 2. So here you create from an instance, you are using its EBS, you're creating a snapshot and moving it to another AZ. Okay, but in EFS case, you see that there's a mount target. Okay, in both the availability zones, there's a mount target. So these instances in the availability zone can all access the EFS at the same time using this mount target. So that's what this is about. Okay, just before that, let me check what's happening here. Just a second. This has been going for a very long time. Still building and building. Okay, fine. Then let's go to the shared responsibility model of EC2 storage. Okay, what is AWS responsible for? It's responsible for the infrastructure. Okay, if it says that the host computer is going to have the EC2 instance store or your EBS volumes, so the infrastructure behind those storage areas that it will handle. It will replicate data on your EBS volumes and EFS drives, but on EC2 instance store, it would be your responsibility to handle it. Okay, so replication would happen so that and also if there is any faulty hardware, if hardware becomes faulty, replacing it, say your root volume or drives become faulty, so the hardware behind it, then that can be replaced. It will be replaced entirely by AWS. And also they ensure that their employees are not allowed to access your data. I mean, their employees won't have access to your EBS volumes or your EFS drives or your instance store. Okay, what is your responsibility? You have to set up backup and snapshot procedures. That is, EBS volumes, you have to back it up. Okay, you have to set up data encryption. So while storing data, you have to ensure that it's stored in an encrypted format. You are responsible for all the data. Okay, data related responsibility entirely yours, because that is your data, right? So protecting it is your responsibility. So that's your responsibility of making multiple backups and replicating the data is your responsibility. And understanding the risk of using EC2 instance store, backing and replicating it. So EC2 instance store, as I said, is it's if the instance is stopped, you lose it. So backing and replicating it is also your responsibility to do. So yeah, I think that does the storage part. Let me check here again. Still running. Okay. Okay, we have come to the storage quiz part. This EC2 builder, let me take this again in the next session. I'm not sure why it has to get stopped now, but it's going on for a while. It's still building the AMI. It takes a while actually. So let me do it. I mean, take it up in the next session. Yeah, Vivek. Hello.
Yes.
Can we call a hard
So
stop here? Yeah,
yeah.
after the quiz.
So what's our plan over here? So are we going for a part two of the EC2 some down the line,
That's fine.
or yep,
Yeah,
okay.
part two we'll do.
Yep, I think. But since we have discussed storage, we can conclude with the quiz, I guess so.
Quiz. Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
yep.
So
Of
okay,
course.
let me. Yeah, sorry, sorry, you were saying
Yeah, yeah.
something. Yeah.
Please go ahead. Yes.
Okay. So let's go to. There are 4 questions here. Okay. What service can be used to automate image management process? That is whether it's AMI, EC2 Image Builder, EBS snapshots, and IAM. EBS volumes cannot be attached to multiple EC2 instances. Is that true or false? What is correct regarding EC2 instance store? It's not good for caching. It has better IO performance, but the data is lost if the EC2 instance is terminated. Your data is safe with EC2 instance store. What is an EBS volume tied to? A region, AZ, data center, or edge location? So these are the questions. Sorry, I'll just go back. Yeah. So people who are watching us, if you would like to answer this,
Yep. We have answers coming in. So,
sure. So
what we
guys,
will do is,
sorry, Vivek. EC2 image builder, let me take it up again because I think it's taking a lot of time. So it's working fine, but that's what it's taking a bit of time. So let me do that in the beginning of the session. So at least I have time, till the end to show you how it works.
yeah,
So right,
okay.
yeah. Next, we'll go for part 2, and we'll start with the EC2 image builder, and then continuing with the rest of, I mean, ALB and ELB and the um, security. Scaling groups, auto
Yep,
scaling groups. Sorry.
and we will let you know the part two of this session when we'll
Sure,
be conducting, probably by this week or by next week. So
sure.
keep an eye on
Keep
our Slack channel. We will let you know. Yep, Srinivas has answered all the questions. Srinivas and Satyan. So
okay.
so guess if there is any other people who wants to also add your answers, you can do it. So how we will work is, since we have two quizzes in this particular session, what we will do is we will consolidate the answers which was given by the all the audiences, because we are actually streaming in multiple destinations in multiple YouTube channels. So we will consolidate and we will pick one winner from one quiz and one winner from the
Right.
second quiz. It will be based on how fast they have answered all the questions and how much right answers they have made. So that will be the thing over here.
Criteria.
Yep. So yep. So it will take some a little bit of time for us to consolidate. So please hop into our Slack channel, and in the announcements channel we will announce the winners probably by today night or by tomorrow. Okay. So we have three active answers coming in. Actually
Answers.
four.
Great.
Uh, so they were also the competitors for the quiz one as well. So it's going a little bit tight.
It's going to be a tie.
But of course, like, just to give more flexibility and more chance to more people, so the winner of quiz 1 cannot be also winner of quiz 2, so that.
Quiz too, right? We have to give more chances to people, right? People, yeah, different people. Chances to
And don't worry if you also miss out quiz 2 or something. We have a lot of contests planned throughout the boot camps. And also, as mentioned earlier, like, we also have the discounted voucher for you to appear for your AWS certification. So that solely depends on how you perform the tasks, which will be revealed at end of each episode. So we will reveal the episode 1 and two's task soon, and then we'll also let you know how what's the procedure to submit your answers and to take part in the contest. And this will continue throughout the bootcamp as well. So yep, so we had complete answers from both Srinivas, Satyan, and Uzair Akbar Raja.
great, great
So what we will do is we will pick out the correct winner,
winner,
and the winner which has given most number of right answers in the shortest time. So that will be our
right?
criteria, and keep an eye on the Slack for more information. So with that being said, would you like to explain the rules of the contest, or shall we have it offline in the next session?
I think we'll have it in the next session. If that's
Yep.
fine.
Okay. So we can conclude today's talk with a couple of things. So what will be our next action plan? So we have actually have a community which is support all sort of content from all for all sort of people, and we invite community members to learn and contribute. So that's the more motive which we have. We learn together, we contribute, and we grow together. We have like I'll also make a good an additional mention of Anusha and Shri, who actually wrote blogs based on whatever they have learned in the episode 1 and 2. So that's one big thing. And you can also not only blog, if you're interested in making some informatics or some digital ports, or if you like to talk as a podcast speaker, or as a technical speaker, or any form which you like to do, you are actually free and allowed to do so. We will help you with all the resources, support, and reviews and everything. And you are free to consume create and consume content in any preferred language. It does not necessarily be the bootcamp's content, it can be anything which is related to open source and AWS in particular. So why our community exists here? So we have a very good networking. So within 30 days we have reached around more than 250 members in Slack. We have around 100 plus members in LinkedIn, Twitter, and all other social medias. So we have a very tight and good networking between all the experts from and expertise, from newbies to professionals. We have all the special access which we'll keep posting on the AWS events and contents and promotional events which takes place in and around, so you don't really have to miss out any good opportunities. And we will be actually showering you with a lot of goodies, swags, and vouchers based on some activities and contests and so on. So that will give us a little bit of competitive spirit that will keep happening in the Slack and in our live streams as well. So our main motto is to share the knowledge and also to learn. We'll help you out with certifications, jobs, and your career milestones as well. So we network to learn, and we support all the regional languages, and we also have some fun way of actually doing everything. So we have contest and giveaways. So if you haven't actually joined our community, our main community exists in Slack, but we do exist in other social media. But please do join Slack for more information. So it is bit.ly/join AWS MDU. And we are also existing in other social media. So we are literally in every single social media. We are on Instagram, we are on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. So you might really find us in the name of AWS User Group Madurai, or with a at a rate of AWS UGMDU. So you can literally find us in anywhere, and we try to engage all the users in the same way as what we do in the Slack. So thank you for attending today's session, and thank you especially for your efforts and time to explain very beautifully on the concepts of computer services. And yep, so we are also excited on hearing on the part two. But yep, and once again for the audience, all these sessions are recorded and available in our YouTube channel. You can come back and revisit anytime you want. So you can come back and revisit to revise the concepts and so on. So and do check out and do keep an eye on Slack for all the contests and announcements. Until then, once again, thanks to the speaker Neetu Mallan for wonderful session, and also the
Vivek,
audience who stayed up. Yep.
sorry to interrupt. Yeah, thank you for the audience for being so patient with me. I think we have already kind of gone over 2 hours. So thanks for people who have been so active, and I hope I can make the second session interactive as well. On the Slack channel or any channel, if you want to solve any doubts or ask any questions over your hands-on, please feel free to communicate. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks for that information. And until then, enjoy your week and take care. Thank you.